What a night it's been here in Copenhagen, Denmark. The very first visit for the UFC, and the guys that were wearing that Danish flag, boy did they perform tonight. Let's start with Nicolas Dalby, Dan. 3 years away, battled alcoholism, depression, then got back to work with Cage Warriors, but tonight's fantastic performance.
A great performance, you know, and a very mature performance, something that we expected to see after his recent fights away from the UFC. You know, he commanded the Octagon so well. He knew exactly the problem he was dealing with, a very unpredictable one, admittedly, but he didn't take any risks, he didn't need to, and he just found his way into the fight.
Yeah, he was definitely calm and collected in there against Oliveira, like you said, who is an animal. He's a former
big
bull
fight
rider.
to come back to.
Yes, right. That's a huge challenge, and he took that test and he passed it with flying colors. There were some weird things with the referees at points, but it went both ways, unfortunately, for both guys. So it kind of evened the playing field a bit. But neither guy really seemed discouraged, and Dalby did his job, went in there, and he put on a beautiful performance tonight. And this crowd absolutely loved that guy.
Oh, they absolutely loved him. And those with short memories might not remember that he took Darren Till to a draw. Darren Till then went on to challenge for the welterweight title. So considering Dalby, his return, his evolution, what's his ceiling?
Well, really, we don't know. I mean, I feel like he's got the skills to find his way into the top 10 of this division fairly quickly if he beats the right guys. You know, we had a big call out. He wants to fight Mike Perry, which would be an excellent fight to watch. You know, you've got one guy who's a bit wild, likes to throw power punches, and then you've got that, initially the sharpshooter. He's changed his nickname recently. He was the sharpshooter.
That's correct.
Now he's Locomotivo. He wants to charge straight through his opponents. But with Mike Perry, you might have to sharpshoot a little bit.
Yeah, but I like that call out. I think that's a great matchup. And always having somebody specific like that on your mind when you go into an octagon and you get that call out, you get that chance to take that microphone, and he did it, especially here in Denmark, in Copenhagen. That's the chance to really take that time, pick somebody specific, and that's exactly what he did.
Co-main events, we saw Mark Madsen. It's always very special when we have an Olympian come to the UFC. They've clearly got credentials of the highest order. And boy, did this guy deliver. 8-0 coming in. He was super respectful all week. But Paul, did you expect that level of performance from him?
I think we knew that that's what he was capable of, right? But my only concern was, how's he going to handle somebody that's got a little more MMA experience when they get into these tie-ups and the submissions start going, somebody that's a little more comfortable throwing them than his previous opponents outside of the UFC. How's he going to handle it? And how's he going to handle the pressure? Wasn't too worried about that. He's an Olympian. He's been to the Olympics 3 times or 4 times. It's something he's used to experiencing, but the octagon's different, man.
Sure.
And it's MMA,
That's
right?
it. It's when the wrestling doesn't work. That's where we really need to find out more about him. You know, he's been to decision once before. We know he's a talented fighter. Against Danilo Belluardo, he had an MMA fighter in front of him, someone that had striking, had submission, someone that can wrestle as well in the conventional MMA sense of wrestling. But when you compare them with an Olympian like Marco Madsen, and when he got a position ready to throw shots, he didn't let up. He landed every single shot that he threw with it pretty much. I mean, Belluardo had no choice but to cover up, especially being so exposed, you know, having such a strong individual on top of you. You can see how fired up he is as well. I'm excited to see how his game fleshes out when he's got such a strong asset in his wrestling.
Yeah, and I think we have to credit his personality as well, because he came into this, as you were alluding to, Paul, being different in the UFC, but it was his first time at 155 pounds in, what did he say? Like
19 years.
19 years.
Crazy.
Yeah. So he's able to embark on those challenges and meet them. And I said in commentary, he was smashing records at the PI for his weight class. So he has the athleticism. What else do you think he needs to add to his game to really become not just a prospect, but a contender?
Well, I mean, we saw that the ground and pound was there. That was one thing that, you know, as a wrestler, you always want to make sure that's your second best tool. That and submissions, as long as he's working on those things. But some guys in the UFC are obviously going to have stellar takedown defense. It's not going to be easy to take them down, and if you do take them down, they do a really good job of staying out of danger and getting back up to their feet. How's he going to handle that when he has to start mixing it up on the feet? So as long as he keeps working with guys like Martin Kampmann, going out to Vegas, getting new sparring partners, and just trying to really push the evolution of his stand-up game, I think that's the only thing he should really focus on. Conditioning is obviously not going to be an issue. The man looked phenomenal, and he's in great shape, and we know the wrestling and the ground and pound, and I think even his submission game will do fine down there. But as long as he can just stay comfortable and relaxed on his feet in those transitions when things aren't going his way with the wrestling.
And wrestling really does seem to be the foundation of MMA. I mean, if you're an excellent striker, you need wrestling to keep it in the striking range. Same thing if you're a good jiu-jitsu player. You need wrestling to get it into your world. If you control the wrestling element, you control where the fight goes. With, as you said, Martin Kampmann in his corner, an excellent striking coach, with the athleticism and the power in his hands from his wrestling days, and also the fact that he can charge forward and throw powerful punches, because if somebody tries to take him down, they're playing into his hands. So, he's at the best place right now with the skill set that he's got to continue developing very quickly.
Moving along to the main event then, and it obviously didn't go well for the Nordic fans in attendance, but Jared Cannonier came into fight week very composed. He'd obviously proved to everyone in stepping out against Anderson Silva that he wasn't going to be overawed by a big audience in enemy territory. But did you expect him to put in a performance quite like that? As I said in the commentary, he kind of beat Hermansson at his own game.
I was surprised at the fact that he made progress so quickly in the fight. The effect that he had on Hermansson after the first round, I was expecting that to take a couple of rounds for that to set in. But, he got taken down twice. He was able to get back to his feet. Then he started stuffing takedowns. Then he started landing his own shots. So by the end of the first round, not only did he got a good read on Hermansson, he'd also caused some damage and started to unsettle the mind of Hermansson a little bit. So then when he comes out in the second round, he's got a smile on his face. He comes moving forward, knowing Hermansson's now got a little desperation in him. The pressure of the event is on his shoulders as well. Just level changed perfectly onto that uppercut for him.
I mean, that was a beautiful uppercut. I mean, we want to talk about timing. And when you know somebody's got a level change, somebody like Hermansson wasn't having as much success on the feet anymore. You know this man wants to get to the ground. And just to time it that beautifully. I agree with Dan. I didn't expect it to end that way. I thought, okay, the way that it was going, second round, maybe he'd start getting his timing even more and more. But I expected it to go second, third, maybe even fourth round. Yeah. And if he could keep stuffing those takedowns, he would be able to find success and be able to knock him out or find a way to drop him. But, man, he impressed me even more than I anticipated. And I was already very impressed by the man coming into this fight.
Yeah, I guess when you start taking a magnifying glass and looking at these fighters, you appreciate them more. And now we have even more material to look at, which leads me on to my next question. Where does he go from here? Dan, we were talking as we were getting ready to go on camera. Paulo Costa's the only guy ahead of him, really, who's not matched up right. So is he the guy? And we obviously have next week where, in terms of scheduling, that would work with camps.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that will be a great fight. You've got two power punchers, two guys that can wrestle, can grapple, that ultimately do like to stand and trade punches on the feet. I think, to be honest, the middleweight division, there are a lot of interesting fights for him here. Uriah Hall was just picked up a great win. That'd be a fascinating fight as well. Yeah. Two, strikers, different styles of strikers, but if we're looking at progress, Costa's really probably the right fight.
Yeah, I like that fight.
Oh, you like that one?
I'm thinking about that fight. I'm just thinking how crazy that could be. And if it goes down, let me know. I want to work it.
Well, let's look ahead to next week then. This epic event in Australia, which is likely to break all records and be the biggest combat sports event in Australia and New Zealand. We have representatives of both nations on display. There's a title unification as well, and it just hinges so well on the back of what we've just seen tonight. Excitement levels right now, gentlemen. Dan, how are you feeling about this?
You know me, I'm always excited. I wish it was Saturday again so we could start the fights over. It's perfect because now we've got Cannonier's positioned himself perfectly to sit and watch that fight, pay close attention, and see what the fallout is. I expect that to be a very competitive fight as well, but with those two guys, with the differences of their style as well, one being a high work rate fighter that's defending his belt, one being a slick, what do you use? I just keep using the word witchcraft because I can't think of a better way. It's like he's casting spells over people. Yeah. Two different opposing styles, both with the ability to finish very quickly. I don't know. I'm excited now. I wish it was Melbourne right now.
Yeah, and it's two fan favorites, right? These guys are guys you want to see them fight. You get behind them. You get behind their story. You get behind who they are as men as well. And to be doing this in their area, fighting for that belt, to unify the belt. It's brilliant. It's brilliant that it worked out that way, right? That these fantastic. Two guys. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Love it. Cannot wait. That is coming your way next week, only on pay-per-view. Make sure you order it. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening in Copenhagen, Denmark. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.